Hi, and welcome to Module 3. It's management, not discipline. As we discussed earlier, Harry Wong's second characteristic of an effective teacher is the ability to exhibit effective classroom management. And again, we know students do not learn in chaos. I have often told novice teachers and non-novice teachers, quite frankly, plan as much for management and transitions as you do for the content. Harry Wong shares his characteristics of a well-managed classroom and that the effective teacher has a minimum of student misbehavior problems to handle. The ineffective teacher is constantly fighting student misbehavior problems. And in some ways, you can look at that as being proactive in how you set your classroom up. Harry Wong is very proactive in how he sets his expectations and procedures versus being reactive. And the teacher that is ineffective in classroom management is much of the time being more reactive than proactive in that way. So what does it look like when a teacher is a good classroom manager? A classroom of a teacher who has strong classroom management will have the classroom ready for learning to begin the year and at the start of the day. Preparation is the key word. That teacher also understands the power of creating strong relationships and intentionally creates a relaxed, pleasant environment where learning can occur. That teacher greets students at the door, a very underrated tool in terms of managing a class, greets students at the door and knows the power of getting each class off to a good start. This often involves an agenda and bell work to get students into a learning mindset, and quite frankly also to control the flow of traffic into your classroom. That teacher that is effective in classroom management teaches and practices routines and procedures so that the students learn to do it automatically. These could be procedures for starting the day, quieting a class, asking for help, moving around the room, dismissing at the bell. But it's important to note that these are all procedures that are planned and they're practiced, maybe before any actual content is learned. I would recommend, quite honestly, to do these types of things as practice before you ever try to engage in content in your classroom. Know what the expectations are around your rules and your procedures before you start doing anything more. A classroom teacher who has strong management, if we were to look in that classroom, we would see students who are meaningfully engaged in work. I am also a fan of Spencer Kagan's engagement strategies. There's a link in the introductory page or the lecture materials here that you can take a look at. That classroom shows little wasted time. There's little confusion or disruptions, and when those things happen, they are addressed, and then the teacher and the students are able to move on. That teacher is consistent in the expectation that routines and procedures are followed and would be on board with reteaching or practicing again those procedures if they're ever disrupted. Most of the time when those types of procedures are disrupted, it's not maliciousness on the part of students. That's a whole other issue. It's just that students might have forgotten or gotten sloppy or lazy in their habits, and so you just re-up and redo those types of procedures to make sure that they're being followed. And that teacher has an organized, disciplined plan. Harry Wong speaks very little about discipline, but speaks of the teacher focusing on establishing efficient routines and procedures that students can expect, but the goal is always to teach students self-discipline. In this module, you will explore the link between a well-managed classroom and student learning. Never forget, it is much less stressful to have a managed classroom than chaos. You will also pick the brains of a school leader and a veteran teacher, and as in all modules, you will compile what you've learned into a PowerPoint that will build as this course progresses. Thanks, and as always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out.